Hi, I'm Rob Reiner, and I'm the director of the film When Harry Met Sally. I'm also someone who you might have seen on television before. Maybe not. If you're young, you might not, unless it's at Nick at Night. Then you might have seen me. My kids see me and they don't recognize me, so I don't blame anybody else for not recognizing me. But I'm the director of the film, and hopefully you enjoy it. Now this was It Had to Be You, and it was performed by Harry Connick Jr. And at the time, Harry was, I think, 20 years old. And I was looking for I didn't, now, you hear these standards all the time in movies, but at the time, I wanted something different. And I talked to a friend named Bobby Colomby, who was a former drummer for Blood, Sweat, and Tears and is a record producer. And he said, "You've got to listen to this guy, Harry Connick Jr." And he gave me a tape of what sounded like a cross between Bill Evans and Thelonious Monk. And I said, "Wow, this is the most original pianist I've heard in a long time." And I met Harry, and he also had a voice that sounded, like Frank Sinatra. And I said, "Well, this will be perfect. We'll have him record some standards, and then we'll mix in some original standards, some tracks from original standards, and that will be the soundtrack for When Harry Met Sally." And that's how this came to be.
I was sitting with my friend Arthur Kornblum in a restaurant. It was a Hornendalet cafeteria. And this beautiful girl walked
Now,
in.
the idea
turned
for
to
these
us, and I said,
testimonials,
"Arthur,
these
you see that girl? I'm going to marry her."
these stories of how people met, how couples met way back when,
15
actually
years
came from a
later,
time that I was
we got married.
spending with Alan Horn, who's now the head of Warner Brothers, and we were sitting around his house one night and just talking, and all of a sudden I asked his father, I said, and he was 86 at the time, I said, "How did you and Mrs. Horn meet?" And he told that exact story that you just heard. And it was interesting because all of a sudden he came to life. He was sitting around not talking the whole evening, and all of a sudden he came to life, because when people are asked how they meet and how they met and fall in love, that is, very exciting to them and interesting. And so we decided to make that a motif in the film, and have, various stories throughout the course of the film. And they're all stories that are actual stories of real people. And then we had actors perform them.
Oh, hi, Sally. Sally, this is Harry Burns. Harry, this is Sally Albright.
Nice to meet you.
You want to drive the
Billy Crystal always said that this hairpiece made him look like Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-O.
Call me.
I'll call you as soon as I get there.
Oh, call me from the road.
I'll call you before then.
I love you.
Love you.
The thing that was interesting about the collaboration and the making of this film is that it was really a mixture between, my experiences, Andy Scheinman's experiences, which we told Nora Ephron about, and she went off and wrote. And then Billy Crystal came in at the end, and he added his participation. So this script was really a collaboration amongst the four of us. And then even Meg got into the picture with the idea for the orgasm scene, which you'll see later.
Break it down by mileage. There's a map on the visor that I've marked to show the locations where we can change shifts.
We wound up, I think, with perfect casting here.
I'll roll down.
Billy Crystal, has obviously a great sense of humor. And he's also plays very real. And we wanted somebody who had a little edge to him, too, and be able to find somebody who is likable, who can, like you say, spit grapes out the window, and you still like him.
The story of my life isn't even going to get us out of Chicago. I mean, nothing's happened to me yet. That's why I'm going to New York.
So something happened to you?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like I'm going to
He's like a lot of men. They're they're horrible, until they fall in love. And so Billy had to play, had to play kind of a cad, if you will. But he's such a likable person that comes through. And then Meg was a perfect complement to Billy.
Amanda mentioned.
I mean, she's also got the incredible ability to play comedy and drama and be very real. And very conversational, the both of them. They have a lot of talking to do in the film, so they're able to pull that off and project a lot of intelligence, and that was all of those qualities were needed to make this film work.
That, my friend, is a dark side.
That doesn't mean you're deep or anything. I mean, yes, basically I'm a happy person.
So am I.
And I don't see that there's anything wrong with that.
Of course not. You're too busy being happy. Do you ever think about death?
Yes.
Sure you do. A fleeting thought that drifts in and out of the transom of your mind. I spend hours. I spend days.
And you think this makes you a better person?
So, when the shit comes down, I'm going to be prepared, and you're not. That's all I'm saying.
In the meantime, you're going to ruin your whole life waiting for it.
The idea of a guy always focusing in on negatives and death and disease, and this is something that both Billy and I share. Our minds go right to, well, we're going to die soon. I mean, it's always that kind of thing. So these characters basically were born out of my experiences and an extension of my personality. And then Billy is like fit the character like a glove. And then Meg has got this kind of sunny outlook on life, so that they were perfect complements to each other.
Yes. And so what can I get you?
The great thing about Billy was that he added so much to the part. He improvised, and he was like having another writer on the film.
A la mode.
But I'd like the pie heated, and I don't want the ice cream on top. I want it on the side, and I'd like strawberry instead of.
This came right out of something that Nora Ephron did when we were writing the film. We'd go out to lunch, and she would actually do this, and we said has to go right into the film. She wasn't even aware that this was something that she did was unusual or out of the ordinary. I said, "Are you kidding me? This is the nuttiest ordering of food I've ever seen." So we put that right in the film.
How do you know we broke up?
Because if you didn't break up, you wouldn't be here with me. You'd be off with Sheldon the Wonder Schlong.
First of all, I am not with you. And second of all, it is none of your business why we broke up.
You're right. I don't want to know.
Well, if you must know, it was because he was very jealous and I had these days of the week underpants.
I'm sorry, I need a judge's ruling on this. Days of the week underpants.
Yes. They had the days of the week on them, and I thought they were sort of funny. And then one day Sheldon says to me, "You never wear Sunday." It's all suspicious. Where was Sunday? Where had I left Sunday? And I told him, and he didn't believe me.
What?
The whole idea of this film was really born out of
Because of God.
my experiences as being a single person after having been married for a long time and being thrown back into the dating world and being totally incapable of making a relationship work and trying to figure out whether or not men and women could be friends and whether or not if there was sex, would that ruin the friendship? And it was really the fodder for the movie.
You're a very attractive person.
And basically, Nora sat with me and with Andy Scheinman and took notes on our personal lives and then made it into this film.
It's a matter of opinion. Empirically, you are attractive.
Amanda is my friend.
So?
So you're going with her.
So?
So you're coming on to me.
No, I wasn't. What? Can a man say a woman is attractive without it being a come on? All right. Let's just say, just for the sake of argument, that it was a come on. What do you want me to do about it? I take it back, okay? I take it back.
You can't take it back
Why not?
because it's already out there.
Oh, geez, what are we supposed to do? Call the cops. It's already out there.
Just let it lie. Okay?
Great. Let it lie. That's my policy. That's what I always say. Let it lie. Want to spend the night in a motel? See what I did? I didn't let it lie.
Harry.
I said I would, and then I didn't.
Harry.
The whole idea behind this film was to
We are just going
really examine how men and women bump up against each other during the dating dance that they do, the courtship dance.
What I'm saying is, and this is not a come on in any way, shape, or form, is that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way.
When we originally thought of this film, it was, kind of a comedy version of Scenes from a Marriage. It was going to be scenes from a friendship. And it was just going to be men and women talking about men and women. And that, like I say, that dance that happens before you finally wind up with each other.
How do you know?
Because no man can be friends with a woman that he finds attractive. He always wants to have sex with her.
So you're saying that a man can be friends with a woman he finds unattractive?
No, you pretty much want to nail him, too.
What if they don't want to have sex with you?
Doesn't matter, because the sex thing is already out there, so the friendship is ultimately doomed, and that is the end of the story.
Well, I guess we're not going to be friends then.
Guess not.
That's too bad. You were the only person that I knew in New York.
You say either, I say either, you say neither, and I say neither. Either, either, but either, or neither. Let's call the whole thing off. Yes, you like potato. I like potato. You like tomato. I like tomato. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah,
Now, again, you see, another couple talking about how they met. What we did was we originally filmed actual couples and we filmed their stories and heard, and the idea initially was going to be that we were going to have real people doing this. And their stories were fascinating, but very often they didn't have good camera presence. So we wound up taking those stories and then hiring actors to relate them. So all these actors were people that were actually found to do the parts of people whose stories really exist.
They looked exactly the same. It seems we stood and talked like this before.
Now, this is President Ford's son. It's probably more fun than President Ford ever had during his, well, I don't know, maybe he'd had maybe you had more fun. I don't know. Not fair of me to say.
The clothes you're wearing are clothes.
Joe, I thought it was you. I thought it was you, Harry Burns.
Harry, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine.
That's great. I was just walking by and I thought it was you, and there it is. It's you.
Yeah, it was.
You still with the DA's office?
One of the comments people made when they saw this film is that, these people, they're obviously goal-oriented and they're upwardly mobile and all of that, and yet they never talk about their work, their careers. And I used to say, well, they do talk about it. We just don't turn the camera on during that time. That's what's so interesting about this movie. These people know each other over a period of 11 years, and they're right there. And my grandmother used to have an expression, which is, if you don't look, you find. And I think that's what this film's about. These two people are in plain sight, and they take 11 years to find each other.
Yes.
No.
Hairstyles were important because it really denoted time passage, and we had to find some very distinct hairstyles for Meg. Obviously, Billy's were more subtle. We've moved off the Jack Lord look, and he's a little thinned out here at this point.
Of death.
We knew that the only way this movie was going to work is if we really exposed what men and women really felt and really thought about, and that what came out in that scene is something that I've felt, and I know a lot of men have felt. And like I say, the movie is only as good as how real and how much people can relate to what actually happens between men and women.
What's so funny about that?
It's just so optimistic of you, Harry.
Well, you'd be amazed what falling madly in love can do for you.
Well, it's wonderful. It's nice to see you embracing life in this manner.
Yeah, plus, you just get to a certain point where you get tired of the whole thing.
What whole thing?
The whole life of a single guy thing. You meet someone, you have the safe lunch, you decide you like each other enough to move on to dinner. You go dancing, you do the white man's overbite. Go back to her place, you have sex, and the minute you're finished, you know what goes through your mind? How long do I have to lie here and hold her before I can get up and go home? Is 30 seconds enough?
That's what you're thinking. Is that true?
Sure. All men think that. How long do you like to be held afterwards? All night, right? See, that's the problem. Somewhere between 30 seconds and all night is your problem.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, you do.
Billy is wonderful in this scene, and it's a really difficult scene because it's one shot. He has to deliver this speech without breaks, and the camera is moving, and we have people that they have to negotiate on this walkway. And he did it many times, and we had a great choice of takes to use.
Yes, that's right. They can't be friends. Unless both of them are involved with other people, then they can. This is an amendment to the earlier rule. If the two people are in relationships, the pressure of possible involvement is lifted.
But you can see there's not one cut in here, and the timing is really impeccable.
Like it means something is missing from the relationship, and why do you have to go outside to get it? Then when you say, no, it's not true, nothing is missing from the relationship, the person you're involved with then accuses you of being secretly attracted to the person you just friends with, which you probably are. I mean, come on, who the hell are we kidding? Let's face it. Which brings us back to the earlier rule before the amendment, which is men and women can't be friends. So where does it leave us?
Harry,
What?
goodbye.
Okay. I'll just stop walking. I'll let you go.
We were married 40 years ago. We were married 3 years. We got a divorce. Then I married Marjorie.
But first you lived with Barbara.
Right, Barbara. But I didn't marry Barbara. I married Marjorie.
Then you got a divorce.
Right. Then I married Katie.
Another divorce.
Then a couple of years later at Eddie Colicchio's funeral, I ran into her. I was with some girl I don't even remember.
Roberta.
Right, Roberta. But I couldn't take my eyes off you. I remember I snuck over to her and I said, what did I say?
You said, what are you doing after?
Right. So I ditched Roberta. We go for coffee. A month later, we're married.
35 years today after our first marriage.
I went through his pockets, okay?
Marie, why do you go through his pockets? You know what I found?
No, what?
They just bought a dining room table.
This is the ladies' lunch.
Spent $400 on a dining
Basically, this movie is a lot of people sitting at tables at restaurants, in rooms, talking. It's virtually wall-to-wall conversation.
Right, I know you're right. Why can't you find someone single? When I was single, I knew lots of nice single men. There must be someone. Sally found someone.
Well, Sally got the last good one.
Joe and I broke up
What?
When?
Monday.
You waited 3 days to tell
Joe's
us?
available?
Oh, for God's sakes, Marie.
We, as I do with all my films, I rehearse for 2 weeks before we start shooting, almost like a play. So by the time we're ready to shoot, the characters, the actors really know their characters and really know what they have to be doing in a scene.
31 years old.
And the clock is ticking.
No, the clock doesn't really start to tick until you're 36.
God, you're in such great shape.
Well, I've had a few days to get used to it, and I feel okay.
With Lisa Jane Persky and with Carrie Fisher, we had two not only terrific actors, but they're smart and they're funny, and all the characters in the film needed to have a certain wit and sophistication and intelligence, and Carrie certainly has that, and so does Lisa Jane.
You said you were over it.
I am over him, but I'm in a mourning period. Who is it?
Alex Anderson.
Oh. You fixed me up with him 6 years ago.
I'm sorry. God. All right, wait, here. Here we go. Ken Darman.
He's been married for over a year.
Really? Married.
She doesn't tear it up. She just pulls the corner down because, ultimately he might not be married at some point.
Like if I met him at the right time, but who right now has no chance of being anything to me but a transitional man.
Okay. But don't wait too long. Remember what happened with David Warsaw? His wife left him and everyone said, give him some time, don't move in too fast. 6 months later, he was dead.
What are you saying? I should get married to someone right away in case he's about to die?
At least you could say you were married. I'm saying that the right man for you might be out there right now, and if you don't grab him, someone else will, and you'll have to spend the rest of your life knowing that someone else is married to your husband.
Wonderful desperation of single women in that scene.
When did this happen?
Friday. Helen comes home from work and she says, I don't know if I want to be married.
This scene actually was born out of something that actually happened to me. I was at a ball game and I got into a very heavy discussion, and a wave started. And, you know, in the middle of the most intense emotional talks, there was this wave going on around us. So we just took that experience and put it right into the film.
I mean, I got married so I could stop dating. So I don't see where we can still date as any big incentive, since the last thing you want to do is date your wife, who's supposed to love you. Which is what I'm saying to her when it occurs to me that maybe she doesn't. So I say to her, don't you love me anymore? You know what she says? I don't know if I've ever loved you.
Ooh, that's harsh. You don't bounce back from that right away.
Thanks, Jess.
No, I'm a writer. I know dialogue, and that's particularly harsh.
Then she tells me that somebody in her office is going to South America and she can sublet his apartment.
Bruno is also perfect in that he has a great sense of humor, and he also plays in a very natural, real way.
In here, you know, like in a balloon attached to a mouth.
Like a cartoon.
Right. So I go to the door, and there are moving men there. Now I start to get suspicious. I say, Helen, when did you call these movers? And she doesn't say anything. So I ask the movers, when did this woman book you for this gig? And they're just standing there, 3 huge guys, one of them wearing a T-shirt that says, don't fuck with Mr. Zero. So I said, Helen, when did you make this arrangement? She says, a week ago. I said, you've known for a week and you didn't tell me? And she says, I didn't want to ruin your birthday.
You're saying Mr. Zero knew you were getting a divorce a week before you did?
Mr. Zero, no.
I can't believe it.
I haven't told you the bad part yet.
What could be worse than Mr. Zero knowing?
It's all a lie. She's in love with somebody else. Some tax attorney. She moved in with him.
How did you find out?
I followed her. I stood outside the building.
It's so humiliating.
Tell me about it. And you know, I knew the whole time that even though we were happy, it was just an illusion, and that one day she would kick the shit out of me.
Marriages don't break up on account of infidelity. It's just a symptom that something else is wrong.
Oh, really? Well, that symptom is fucking my wife.
So I just happened to see his American Express bill.
What do you mean you just happened to see it?
Or he was shaving, and there it was in his briefcase.
What if he came out and saw you looking?
We also shot virtually all of this movie on real locations in New York City. The scene that you just saw was a Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands, and here we are at the Shakespeare Bookstore in Manhattan.
No one thinks he's ever going to leave.
You're right, you're right. I know you're right. Someone is staring at you in personal growth.
I know him. You'd like him. He's married.
Who is he?
Harry Burns. He's a political consultant.
He's cute.
You think he's cute?
How do you know he's married?
The last time I saw him, he was getting married.
When was that?
6 years ago.
So he might not be married anymore.
Also, he's obnoxious.
This is just like in the movies, remember? And the lady vanishes when she says to him, you're the most obnoxious man I ever met.
Contemptible.
They fall madly in love.
A lot of people have talked about the wardrobe in this movie, and a lot of people have copied these styles. I mean, what was really tough was for Gloria Gresham, who did the costumes for this, to find wardrobe that would be suitable to these characters over a period of many years as a transition from different time periods. And she did a great job. It's the toughest thing to do contemporary wardrobe. I mean, nobody ever gets credit for it. You always, when you see the Oscars, people are always getting Oscars for period pieces. But to me, to do contemporary wardrobe, to be very character specific, and also to have a range over a period of years is extremely difficult. And Gloria did a tremendous job.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? What happened with you guys?
When Joe and I started seeing each other, we wanted exactly the same thing. We wanted to live together, but we didn't want to get married.
This scene was shot at Amsterdam's in Manhattan.
They practically never had sex again. It's true.
Most of the stuff on the Upper West Side.
That no one ever tells you. I would sit around with my girlfriends who have kids. Actually, my one girlfriend who has kids, Alice. And she would complain about how she and Gary never did it anymore.
This is one of my favorite scenes from Meg in the whole movie. She delivers this monologue, and she's so smart, and she's got such great timing. And
kids just took every sexual impulse they had out of them. Joe and I used to talk about it, and we'd say, so lucky we have this wonderful relationship. We can have sex on the kitchen floor and not worry about the kids walking in. We can fly off to Rome at a moment's notice. And then one day I was taking Alice's little girl for the afternoon because I promised to take her to the circus. And we were in the cab playing I Spy. I spy a mailbox. I spy a lamppost. And she looked out the window and she saw this man and this woman with these two little kids. And the man had one of the little kids on his shoulders. And she said, I spy a family. And I started, I just started crying. And I went home and I said, the thing is, Joe, we never do fly off to Rome on a moment's notice.
And the kitchen floor.
Not once. It's this very cold, hard Mexican ceramic tile. Anyway, we talked about it for a long time, and I said, this is what I want. And he said, well, I don't. And I said, well, I guess it's over. And he left. And the thing is, I feel really fine. I am over him. I mean, I really am over him. That was it for him. That was the most that he could give. And every time I think about it, I am more and more convinced that I did the right thing.
Boy, you sound really healthy.
Yeah.
At least I got the apartment.
That's what everybody says to me, too. But really, what's so hard about...
Again, this is another scene that was shot in one take. A lot of the scenes in the film were done that way, so it really required the actors to be on their games and really listening and working with each other. And I think Billy and Meg did a tremendous job.
And a spacious 3-bedroom apartment with a wood-burning fireplace. See?
That was Billy's idea, that whole idea about how to find an apartment. Again, he added so much to the script.
You're much softer now.
I hate that kind of remark. It sounds like a compliment, but really it's an insult.
Okay, you're still as hard as nails.
I just didn't want to sleep with you, and you had to write it off as a character flaw instead of dealing with the possibility that it might have something to do with you.
What's the statute of limitations on apologies?
10 years.
Ooh, I can just get it in under the wire.
Would you like to have dinner with me sometime?
Are we becoming friends now?
Well, yeah.
Great. A woman friend. You may be the first attractive woman I've not wanted to sleep with in my entire life.
That's wonderful, Harry.
We were both born in the same hospital.
1921.
7 days apart.
In the same hospital.
We both grew
This man right here on the left-hand side of the screen was the best man at my father's wedding. His name is Bernie Hearn.
Hers moved when she was 11.
I lived on 183rd Street.
For 6 years, she worked on the 15th
I worked for
floor
a very prominent
as a nurse,
neurologist,
where I had
Dr.
to practice
Bemelin.
on the 14th floor, the very same
We
building.
never met.
Never met.
Can you imagine that?
You know where we met? in an elevator.
I was visiting.
Yeah, their timing is great.
Hotel in Chicago.
He was
with
on the
noise.
third floor. I was on the 12th.
I wrote up 9 extra floors just to keep talking.
Bernie, my father's often said Bernie was responsible for really teaching him about comedy and timing.
Hello?
You sleeping?
No, I was watching Casablanca.
Channel, please.
11.
Thank you. Got it. Now you're telling me you would be happy with Victor Laszlo than with Humphrey Bogart.
When did I say that?
When we drove to New York.
I never said that. I would never have said that.
All right, fine. Have it your way. Have you been sleeping?
Why?
'Cause I haven't been sleeping. I really miss Helen. Maybe I'm coming down with something. Last night I was up at 4 in the morning watching Leave It to Beaver in Spanish. Buenos dias, Senor Cleaver. ¿Dónde está Wallace y Theodore? I'm not well.
Well, I went to bed at 7:30 last night. I haven't done that since the 3rd grade.
Well, that's the good thing about depression. Get your rest.
I'm not depressed.
Okay, fine. Do you still sleep on the same side of the bed?
I did for a while, but now I'm pretty much using the whole bed.
God, that's great. I feel weird when just my leg wanders over. I miss her.
I don't miss him. I really don't.
Not even a little?
You know what I miss? I miss the idea of him.
Maybe I only miss the idea of Helen. No, I miss the whole Helen.
Last scene.
This idea of talking to each other while
Ingrid Bergman.
you'll see when the two of them are both lying in their separate beds was an idea that came out of my life again, which I used to do with Billy and with my friend Andy Scheinman. We'd sit and talk to each other on the phone and each be watching the same show on television in our separate houses. So even though it was two guys doing it, it worked for Harry and Sally here because they were just friends who were sharing their lives and their experiences, and they were that close where they could be both lying in bed watching the same thing and talking on the phone, and it had this kind of the old pillow talk. If you remember Rock Hudson and Doris Day, they were each in a bathtub, and the split screen had them sharing a bath, and this one we have them sharing a bed together with a split screen.
Coming down with something. Probably a 24-hour tumor they're going around.
You don't have a tumor.
How do you know?
If you're so worried, go see a doctor.
No, they'll just tell me it's nothing.
Will you be able to sleep?
If not, I'll be okay.
What'll you do?
I'll stay up and moan. Maybe I should practice now.
Good night, Harry.
Good night.
And again, the moaning was something I also used to do. During this period, I was in such a state of depression most of the time because of my personal life. I would do that. I would go, oh, like this. And Billy said, that's what you do. Good. You moan. You're a good moaner.
Perfect 10 from the American. And my mother, disguised as an East German judge, gave me a 5.6. Must have been a dismount.
Well, basically, it's the same one I've been having since I was 12.
What happens?
No, it's too embarrassing.
Don't tell me.
Okay, there's this guy.
What's he look like?
I don't know. He's just kind of faceless.
Faceless guy. Okay. Then what?
He rips off my clothes.
Then what happens?
That's it.
That's it? A faceless guy rips off your clothes, and that's the sex fantasy you've been having since you were 12. Exactly the same.
Well, sometimes I varied it a little.
Which part?
What I'm wearing. What?
And this is totally Nora.
I have decided
that for the rest of the day, we are going to talk like this.
Like this?
No, please, to repeat after me. Pepper,
Pepper.
pepper,
Pepper.
pepper, pepper.
Pepper.
Waiter, there is too much pepper on my paprikash.
Waiter,
There is too much pepper on my paprikash.
on my paprikash.
But I would be proud to partake of your pecan pie.
And this was another idea from Billy, this pepper thing.
But I would be proud
To partake
to partake
of your pecan pie.
of your pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan.
Pecan pie.
Would you like to go to the movies with me tonight?
Would you like to go? Wait.
Not to repeat, please, to answer. Would you like to go to the movies with me tonight?
Oh. Well, I'd love to, Harry, but I can't.
What do you have? A hot date?
Well, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to tell you about it, but I don't know. I just felt strange about it.
Why?
Well, because we've been spending so much time together.
Oh, I think it's great that you have a date.
You do?
Yeah. Is that what you're going to
The Temple of Dender at the
Well, I don't know.
Metropolitan Museum.
I think you should wear skirts more. You look really good in skirts.
I do?
Yeah. You know, I have a theory that hieroglyphics are really an ancient comic strip about a character named Sphinxy.
You know, Harry, I think you should get out there, too.
Oh, I'm not ready.
You should.
I would not be good for anybody right now.
It's time.
It was the most uncomfortable night of my life.
So, you know, it has to go this way. The first date back is always the toughest, Harry.
You only had one date. How do you know it's not going to get worse?
How much worse can it get than finishing dinner, having him reach over, pull a hair out of my head, and start flossing with it at the table?
We're talking dream date compared to my horror. It started out fine. He's a very nice person. And we're sitting and we're talking in this Ethiopian restaurant that she wanted to go to. And I was making jokes, you know, like, hey, I didn't know that they had food in Ethiopia. This will be a quick meal. I'll order 2 empty plates and we can leave. Yeah, nothing from her, not even a smile. So I downshifted.
Funny, when you watch a movie, you remember the things that happen when you make the movie more than the movie itself. Sometimes, and what I remember most about this scene is that my father came to visit that day on the set. And that's what I remember most about this particular scene.
But they're both Big Ten schools. I got so upset I had to leave the restaurant.
Harry, I think this takes a long time. It might be months before we're actually able to enjoy going out with someone new.
Yeah.
And maybe longer before we're actually able to go to bed with someone new.
Oh, I went to bed with her.
You went to bed with her?
Sure.
Huh.
I don't understand this relationship.
What do you mean?
You enjoy being with her?
Yeah.
You find her attractive?
Yeah.
Billy's such a good athlete that he said he would be willing to hit left-handed. He's actually a natural right-handed hitter. But in order to accommodate the camera angle and get them both in a shot and see their both see their faces,
Feel like I'm growing.
he moved around and hit left-handed.
Stack of quarters and I was here first.
We're not.
Was two.
We're not.
Was two.
Big jerk.
Look, creep. Where was I?
You were growing.
Yeah. It's very freeing. I can say anything to her.
Are you saying you can say things to her you can't say to me?
No, it's just different. It's a whole different perspective. I get the woman's point of view on things. She tells me about the men that she goes out with, and I can talk to her about the women that I see.
You tell her about other women.
Yeah. Like the other night. I made love to this woman, and it was so incredible. I took her to a place that wasn't human. She actually meowed.
You made a woman meow?
Yeah, that's the point. I can say these things to her. And the great thing is, I don't have to lie because I'm not always thinking about how to get her into bed. I can just be myself.
You made a woman meow?
Here's the most famous scene in the movie, the one that everybody quotes. And of course, the last line of the scene was, I'll have what she's having is my mother who delivers that line. And you can see her in the background of this shot here. There she is on the left, right beyond Meg. And I've often told the story, but when we were shooting this, this is something that Meg said she could do, to fake an orgasm, and we'd do it in an incongruous place. And the idea behind this scene was to do something we've had all these revelations that were shocking to Meg as a woman, to find out that men, after they have sex, they're ready to leave right away, and women want to cuddle and spend time together. And the idea that Billy, as Harry, could have sex with somebody that he wasn't really in love with or connected to. These were all kind of revelations about male sexuality, and so we wanted to have a counterpoint. And Nora suggested the idea that women often fake orgasms, and I was totally shocked to hear about that. And I just said it's not possible. I would know it, and she said, "No, you wouldn't. I mean, that's the point." And I did a little survey around and found out that over 50% of the women said that they had faked orgasms at one point or another, and men didn't know about it. So this became the basis for this scene. And when we went to shoot it, Meg at first was very tentative. She was nervous about doing it, obviously, in front of all the extras and the crew and everything. And I said to her after her first take, I said, Meg, in order for this to work, you're going to have to really work into this. I mean, it's only going to be funny if you really put out, go after it full force. So we did it a second time. And again, she was kind of timid. And I said, look, let me show you what I mean and what has to happen. And I sat down opposite Billy and started acting out this wild orgasm. And Billy said it was like having a date with Sebastian Cabot. And as I was, getting my orgasm, he said it was like, watching Victor Bono eat Thai food. I was sweating so much. And I realized it was so embarrassing for me, because after I finished, I realized I had had this orgasm in front of my mother, who was sitting right there. But it ultimately got Meg revved up, and you can see what she does here. She performs it beautifully. And then my mother, of course, has the final line. And that line was written by Billy Crystal. And I told my mother, if that line doesn't get a laugh, as big a laugh as the rest of the scene, which I think it will, we might have to cut it. And she said, "Oh, don't worry. As long as I can spend the day with you, I'm happy." But when she delivered the line, she did it perfectly, and here it is.
I'll have what she's having.
And it was the biggest laugh in the entire film, and probably the biggest laugh of any film I've ever done. So at least my mother can never say I never gave her anything.
We're happy tonight, walking in the winter wonderland. Gone away, here's the bluebird.
Here we got Ray Charles singing Winter Wonderland. And in the movie theater, when this first came out, you're just about hearing him sing at this point. The laugh was so big that it carried over to almost to that point.
In the meadow, we can build a snowman and pretend that we parted round. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say no. But you can do the job when you're in town, brother. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream back.
That's Billy's uncle. I'm dressed up as Santa Claus right there. His Uncle Bern.
That we made, walking in the winter wonderland. If they ask me,
Here we have Harry Connick singing, and he's got a beautiful voice.
About the way you walk and whisper.
I like you without your beard. You can see your face.
It is my face. Well, dipping you.
I really want to thank you for taking me out tonight.
Oh, don't be silly. And next New Year's Eve, if neither one of us is with anybody, you got a date.
Deal. See? Now we can dance cheek to cheek.
Is just to tell them that you were alive.
The idea behind Christmases and New Year's and all those national holidays, that was Nora's idea, because those are obviously the most emotionally charged times. And whether you're with somebody or not with somebody, it has a real impact on you emotionally. So we purposely set a lot of the important scenes in the film during these holiday times.
Here.
Well, he was a head counselor at the boys' camp, and I was a head counselor at
But it's interesting. I watched this film, and it is so personal. I mean, of all the films I've made, it's probably the most personal because it really came out of the 10 years that I spent trying to make a go of it with the opposite sex, and it became the fodder for everything in the film. And then the fact that I also wound up meeting my future wife while we made the film, it has all kinds of resonance in so many different ways. But it's like watching a whole movie. Just anytime you make a film, it's you remember the experience making the film more than the actual film itself.
Please say yes, love, Jonathan.
Did it work?
He never even came over. He forgot this charity thing that his wife is chairman of. He's never going to leave her.
Of course he isn't.
You're right. You're right. I know you're right. Where is this place?
Somewhere on the next block.
Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Look, Harry is one of my best friends, and you are one of my best friends. And if by some chance you two hit it off, then we could all still be friends instead of drifting apart the way you do when you get involved with someone who doesn't know your friend.
You and I haven't drifted apart since I started seeing Arthur.
If Arthur ever left his wife and I actually met him, I am sure that you and I would drift apart.
He's never going to leave her.
Of course he isn't.
You're right. You're right. I know you're right.
I don't know about this.
It's just a dinner.
I finally got into a place in my life where I'm comfortable with the fact that it's just me and my work. If she's so great, why aren't you taking her out?
How many times do I have to tell you? We're just friends.
So you're saying she's not that attractive?
No, I told you she is attractive.
Yeah, but you also said she had a good personality.
She has a good personality. What?
When someone's not that attractive, they're always described as having a good personality.
Look, if you would ask me, what does she look like? And I said she has a good personality, that means she's not attractive. But just because I happen to mention that she has a good personality, she could be either. She could be attractive with a good personality or not attractive with a good personality.
So which one is she?
Attractive.
But not beautiful, right? It's like whenever I read Jimmy Breslin, it's as if he's leaving some kind of a wake-up call for the city of New York,
What do you mean by a wake-up call?
Well, he's saying that actually...
Now, this scene takes place at the Cafe Luxembourg, again on the Upper West Side. And again, this is one of these scenes that brings back personal memories, and that this was the first date that I had with the woman who eventually became my wife. And we had dinner here, right here at the Cafe Luxembourg on Sunday, the night before we shot this scene the next day. And that was the first time I had dinner with Michelle, and we wound up getting married about 7, 8 months after the film was finished.
Harry, you and Marie are both from New Jersey.
Really?
Where are you from?
South Orange.
Haddonfield.
Oh.
So, what are we going to order?
Well, I'm going to start with the grilled radicchio.
Jazz, Sally is a great order. Not only does she always pick the best thing on the menu, but she orders it in a way that even the chef didn't know how good it could be.
I think restaurants have become too important.
Oh, I agree. Restaurants are to people in the 80s what theater was to people in the 60s. I read that in a magazine.
I wrote that.
Get out of here.
No, I did. I wrote that.
I've never quoted anything from a magazine in my life. That's amazing. Don't you think that's amazing? And you wrote it?
I also wrote Pastor's Quiche for the 80s.
Get over yourself.
I did.
Where did I read that?
New York Magazine.
Sally writes for New York Magazine.
You know, that piece had a real impact on me. I mean, I don't know that much about writing, but
It spoke to you, and that pleases me.
I mean, you have to admire people who can be as that articulate.
Nobody has ever quoted me back to me before.
Oh, I've been looking for a red suede pump. What do you think of Jess?
Well,
Do you think you could go out with him?
I don't know.
Because I feel really comfortable with him.
You want to go out with Jess.
If it would be all right with you.
Sure, sure. I'm just worried about Harry. He's very sensitive. He's going through a rough period. I just don't want you to reject him right now.
I wouldn't. I totally understand.
If you don't think you're going to call Marie, do you mind if I call her?
No.
Good, good.
But for tonight, you shouldn't. I mean, Sally's very vulnerable right now. I mean, you can call Marie, it's fine. But just, wait a week or so, you know? Don't make any moves tonight.
Fine, no problem. I wasn't even thinking about that. Well, I don't really feel much like walking anymore. I think I'll get a cab.
I'll go with you.
Great. Taxi!
This also was one of the biggest laughs in the picture, and the timing on this was really good.
A man came to me and said, I found a nice girl for you. She lives in the next village, and she is ready for marriage. We were not supposed to meet until the wedding, but I wanted to make sure. So I sneaked into her village, hid behind a tree, watch her washing the clothes. I think if I don't like the way she looks, I don't marry her. But she looked really nice to me. So I said, okay, to the man. We get married. We married for 55 years.
I have to get this. I have to
Harry,
get this.
we're here for Jess and Marie.
I know. We'll find them something. There's great stuff here.
Should have gone to the plant store.
Here. Perfect for them.
What's that?
Battery-operated pith helmet with fan.
Why is this necessary in life?
I know. Look. Look at this. Also makes great fries. Oh. Uh-oh. Good. Call off the dogs. The hunt is over. Sally. This is the bread. Sally, please report to me. Look at this. This is the great. You're gonna love this. This is a singing machine. Look. You sing the lead, and this has the backup and everything. This is from Oklahoma. Here's the lyrics right here.
Story with a fringe on top.
Yes, perfect. Ooh.
Chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out in my surrey. When I take you out in my surrey with the fringe on top. Now you
Watch that fringe and
see
stop.
how it flatters.
When
I drive and shutters. Nosy folks and peak. Well, pop.
Now the upholstery brown, the dashboard genuine leather. What? It's my voice, isn't it? I hate my voice. I know, it's terrible. Joe ate him.
It's Helen.
Helen?
She's coming right towards me.
How are you, Harry?
Fine, I'm fine.
This is Iris Stone, Harry Burns.
Harry.
I just love the fact that we've got the Oklahoma Surrey with the fringe on top going in the background of this. It's a perfect little touch.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Well, see you.
Yeah, bye. Nice to meet you, Ira.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm perfect. She looked weird, didn't she? She looked really weird. She looked very weird.
Never seen her before.
Trust me, she looked weird. Her legs looked heavy. Really, she must be retaining water.
Harry.
Believe me, the woman saved everything.
Sure you're okay?
Oh, I'm fine. Look, it had to happen at some point. In a city of 8 million people, you're bound to run into your ex-wife. So, boom, it happened. And now I'm fine.
I like it. It works. It says home to me.
Oh, all right. Well, let Harry and Sally be the judge.
You know, in most of my films, you don't really notice in most of my films, you don't really notice the photography. I'm not, it's not flashy. There's not a lot of wacky camera angles for the most part. It's very simple and straightforward, and I have a philosophy about not letting the camera get in the way of telling the story. I mean, you should never notice that the camera's there. You should just kind of watch these people behave and just kind of get carried away with the story. But the camera work and the lighting, I think, in this film is very nice and understated, and like I say, doesn't get in the way, and is exactly what I wanted. And it was done by Barry Sonnenfeld, who is now a very successful director, who at the time was a cinematographer, and he had done most of the Coen Brothers films, and so obviously was capable of doing some very edgy, unique kind of camera work. But in this, he was very restrained, and he did exactly what we needed, which is to get out of the way and let the actors do what they needed to do.
Right now, everything is great. Everyone is happy. Everyone is in love. And that's wonderful. But you got to know that sooner or later, you're going to be screaming at each other about who's going to get this dish. This $8 dish will cost you $1,000 in phone calls to the legal firm of That's Mine, This Is Yours.
Harry.
Please. Jess, Marie, do me a favor for your own good. Put your name in your books right now before they get mixed up and you don't know whose is whose. Because someday, believe it or not, you'll go 15 rounds over who's going to get this coffee table. This stupid wagon wheel, Roy Rogers garage sale coffee table.
I thought you liked it.
Nice.
He just bumped into Helen.
I want you to know that I will never want that wagon wheel coffee table.
I know, I shouldn't have done.
Harry, you're going to have to try and find a way of not expressing every feeling that you have every moment that you have them.
Oh, really?
Again, this has a memory for me because this was the first time I ever laid eyes on my wife. When we were shooting this scene, it was we were ready to break for lunch, and she came to visit Barry Sonnenfeld and have lunch with him and his wife, and I met her for the first time while we were shooting this scene.
What's that supposed to mean?
I mean, nothing bothers you. You never get upset about anything.
Be ridiculous.
What? You never get upset about Joe. I never see that back up on you. How is that possible? Don't you experience any feelings of loss?
I don't have to crap from you.
If you're so over Joe, why aren't you seeing anyone?
People.
See people.
This is on the Upper West Side again in a brownstone in New York.
To do with anything. That will prove I'm over Joe because I fucked somebody? Harry, you're gonna have to move back to New Jersey because you slept with everybody in New York, and I don't see that turning Helen into a faint memory for you. Besides, I will make love to somebody when it is making love, not the way you do it like you're out for revenge or something.
Are you finished now?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't say a word. It's a monkey. It's a monkey. A monkey see, monkey do. It's an ape. Going ape. Baby. Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes? She just said it's a baby. How about Planet of the Dopes?
It doesn't look like a baby.
Look at that big mouth. Mick Jagger is a baby.
Baby ape. Baby ape.
Stop with the apes, would you please?
Baby's breath.
Baby. Rosemary's Baby's
Baby,
mouth.
baby.
Won't you come home, Bill Baby?
Baby, kiss the baby.
Melancholy Baby's mouth.
Baby fish mouth.
Ethel
Baby
Merman.
fish mouth.
15 seconds.
A big baby.
Baby boom.
Baby.
Draw something resembling anything.
Baby,
Baby.
I'm crying baby. Kiss the baby.
Baby spitting up. Exorcist Baby.
Die.
Baby.
Yes, sir, that's my baby.
No, sir. Don't mean maybe.
That's it. Time's up.
Baby talk.
Baby talk. What's that? That's not a saying.
Oh, but Baby Fishmouth is sweeping the nation. I hear them talk.
Final score, our team 110, you guys 60.
Ouch. Definitely a six.
I can't draw.
Oh, that's baby. Well, that's clearly talking.
You're wonderful.
All right, who wants coffee?
I do and I love
Do you have any tea?
One tea.
Industrial strength.
Okay.
Also.
I'll help you. Decaf?
Three.
Cream.
Where's the bathroom?
Through that door down the hall.
You're alone.
Never looked like a baby to me.
Which part?
All of it.
Hey, Jess, you were going to show me the cover of your book.
Oh, yeah. It's in the den. Look, Julian, help yourself. Have some more wine, whatever you like, okay? I like saying it's in the den. It's got a nice ring to it.
Emily's a little young for Harry, don't you think?
She's young, but look what she's done.
What has she done? She makes desserts.
Does Julian seem a little stuffy to you?
He's a good guy. You should talk to him, get to know him.
He's too tall to talk to.
She makes 3,500 chocolate mousse pies a week.
Emily is Aunt Emily?
He took us all to a Met game last week. It was great.
You all went to a Met game together?
Yeah, but, well, it was a last-minute thing.
But Sally hates baseball.
Harry doesn't even like sweet.
Julian is great.
I know. He's a grown-up.
Emily is terrific.
Yeah. Of course, when I asked her where she was when Kennedy was shot, she said Ted Kennedy was shot?
No.
Hello?
Are you alone?
Yeah, I was just finishing a book.
You come over?
What's the matter?
He's getting married.
Who?
Joe.
I'll be right there.
Hi.
You all right?
Honey. Sorry to call you so late.
It's all right.
I need a clean.
Meg was terrific in the scene. It's just the right balance. I mean, she's playing the emotion, but it's still funny. And that's the most difficult thing to do as an actor, to make it believable and real, and it's emotional, and it still has a humor.
Blah, blah, blah.
Billy's attitude in this scene is just perfect. I mean, it just speaks volumes. Every look on his face and every reading of every line.
You have all your videotapes alphabetized and on index cards?
Yours.
Hello. I'm sorry to call so early. Are you all right?
No one I know would call at this hour.
I did something terrible.
This scene,
Call at this hour.
the scene, although it looks simple, was one of the most difficult scenes to do. And sound people have looked at this and wondered, how the heck did we do this? If you see that all four characters are on screen at the same time throughout the entire scene, and they're all talking and overlapping each other, and they're in three different locations, and there are no cutaways. And in order for this to work, every single actor had to be totally paying attention and biting their cues and coming in at the right time, and the timing had to be perfect. And if anybody bobbled a line, the take would be no good because there was nothing to cut away to. We wound up doing this 60 times, and I think this is either take 55 or 60. I can't remember which one, but we would do a scene. We would do it over and over and over again, and somebody would either miss a line or one time I remember we got through it completely, and you'll see at the end there's Billy and Meg disappear, and you're left with Bruno and Carrie, and just at this point a line would be blown and we'd have to start all over again. And what we did was we had three different sets. We wired the phones together so that everybody could hear everybody else talk, and that was the only way we could do it, so that they all could hear what was going on in all in every conversation. And they did it great. And like I said, we did it 60 times, and we finally got a great take. And it looks unbelievably simple, but it was the most complicated thing I've ever shot. And the performances are amazing. I never knew what this scene was about, what this dialogue was about, but it's funny and it's wacky and it just works.
I am saying, why does it have to mean everything?
Because it does. And you should know that better than anybody, because the minute that it happens, you walk right out the door.
I didn't walk out.
No, sprinted is more like it.
We both agreed it was a mistake.
The worst mistake I ever made.
What do you want
I
from me?
don't want anything from you.
Fine, but let's just get one thing straight. I did not go over there that night to make love to you. That is not why I went there. But you looked up at me with his big weepy eyes. Don't go home tonight, Harry. Hold me a little longer, Harry. What was I supposed to do?
What are you saying? You took pity on me?
No, I was...
Fuck you.
I think they used this song also in The Godfather, if I'm not mistaken. And it was right at the time when Michael Corleone finds out his father was shot. So this is a slightly different use of that song.
From now on, our troubles will be miles away.
Hi, it's me. It's the holiday season, and I thought I'd remind you that this is the season of charity and forgiveness.
Who is not widely known, is also the season of traveling. So if you felt like calling me
Mark Shaman actually did the arranging for all the music in the film, and it was actually the first experience I had with Mark Shaman. I knew him because he had worked with Billy a lot, and Billy suggested Mark come in on this, and it was the beginning of, as they say in Casablanca, a beautiful friendship. And Mark has worked with me on every film I've done since this. The ending that we had for this initially, we had so many different endings. We had them not getting together. We had them getting together many years later. None of it seemed to work, and we knew that the only way it would be satisfying is if we found a way to reunite them at the end of the film. When we first shot it, we didn't. It just didn't have the emotional impact, and we reworked it and we rewrote it, and eventually we reshot it with the speech that you see Billy giving to Meg at the end, and it came out of improvisation, and Nora and myself and Andy and Billy all worked together to come up with just the right speech that would win Meg back, and eventually I think it finally wound up working.
You see?
For me, it was difficult because I hadn't, I hadn't, fallen in love again in my life. So I couldn't figure out how the character could ever reconnect with somebody. It felt false to me. But I knew, just in terms of satisfying an audience, that's what you needed to do. And it felt kind of phony to me. But now that I look back on it and know that, you can work through a situation, and you can, fall in love again. The ending makes absolute sense to me. This was all improvised. This part here on the couch was all improvised. We did it many, many times in different ways, and this is what we settled on.
Coconut cake with the tears, and there was this very rich chocolate sauce on the side.
Right, because not everybody likes it on the cake because it makes it very soggy.
Particularly the coconut soaks up a lot of that stuff, so it's important to keep it on the side.
Right.
It had to be you. It had to be you. I wanted
Here's Harry Connick again, and this album, I think, was a terrific album. Had great songs in it, and wound up selling quite a bit. And like I say, the important thing is it got me connected with Mark Shaman, and he became somebody who was a very important person in my life for all the films I've made. Yeah, and at Katz's Deli, I don't know if they still have it there, but they used to have a little sign saying this is the table that Meg and Billy sat at, and it may still be there, so you can check it out. I know they have some things in the window that said that Harry and Sally was shot here. But they used to have, this was the table that they sat at. So you could sit at that table. Yeah, that was great. So I haven't seen the film in such a long time. It was really interesting to watch. I remember my mother at Katz's Delicatessen just being happy to be around me and eating a hot dog and saying, I don't care if I get cut out of the film as long as I can spend a day with my son. And those are the things you remember. And also the experience with Billy and, my best friend. And we were able to, to do something together. And I think it's probably, in my opinion, the best performance Billy's ever given. And I think because he trusted me and I took him hopefully to places that he might not have gone to with somebody else. And then the chemistry between Meg and Billy was amazing. And, it was an incredible experience on every level, personal and professionally. And I'm glad to have been part of making this movie. There it says a special thanks to Sol Horn for his inspiration. That's Alan Horn's father, and he was the guy who told me about how he met his wife, and that became the leitmotif for the film.